Roy Mansky hasn't taken the field, and I just can't pick up that number 13 at the moment. That is Leroy Mansky, sorry. Just been informed. And there's Tank Duncan charging onto the ball and just unloads it, unfortunately. Ross Keel throws it out wide. Brothers trying to cross this early section. There's a little bit of niggle going on there in the early tactics. So plenty of action here in this 1987 Rugby League Grand Final. See the scrum pack down. It's fed by Natives. Over to you, Rob.
Yes, Natives under extreme pressure early in this first half, Paul. And away goes to Romero. He fends away from Cool and a head-on tackle. Oh, that was a good tackle right from Barry Danzy. Robbie Hanson, I'm sorry. Tommy McIntyre takes it up straight to the middle of the ruck. Ross Cool and Robbie Hanson combined to knock him over. We've got a Brothers player back down in back play, and the trainer's calling for assistance. Meanwhile, Danny Tanner pumps the ball downfield, down to young Giovanni, and he's picked the ball up 10 yards inside Brothers territory, gets to the halfway mark, and he's pulled down by Darby and Sherlock.
Yeah, that's John Gilbert, runs from dummy half, and he's hitting good hard defence there from Waldo, just on the halfway line. Here comes Mansky, just over the halfway line, makes about 5 metres in the ruck. Plays the ball back to Cross, on to Peter Gill, cuts out one player, and then there's a bit wild pass there, and John Booth comes away with the ball. Plays the ball back to brother David, on to Greg Taylor, who cuts out a couple of players, and that's the half back there, and Mick Mansfield, who makes a few yards up that far touchline. Up and pays the ball back to Sherlock. Here's picks up David Booth, running on the ball very hard. That's a good hard ruck there. Stewie Grills into dummy half. Plays the ball back to Taylor on to Booth. And that's the fullback. And, oh, there's a bad pass there by Tony Darby's put the ball, and Peter Hamlin's come away. And at the moment, we've just been joined by our co-commentator, Pat Gerard. Good afternoon, Pat, and congratulations. First grand final up in the big grade.
Yes, mate, very nerve-wracking, but thanks very much, Paul, anyway.
Yes, there's plenty of pressure on out here at the moment, Paddy. Brothers versus Natives in the grand final, and how do you see it going to go?
Mate, it should be a bumper crowd. As any grand final, everyone's got a chance. On form, I'd have to go for Natives, Paul, but I think they can, their forwards will get on top. But anyway, it's grand final time. No one really knows. All right, then.
Yes,
and back to
that's Peter Hamlin comes away with the ball. Peter Hamlin comes away with the Barry Danzy dummy off. Peter Gilbert puts in the little kick, and that's gone over the top of the Natives player, but hasn't found touch yet. Guy Orelga, the fullback.
Guy Orelga comes up with the ball. That is the winger in Drinkwater. Orelga gets up and plays it back to Vic Lemura. There's been a change. It's Drinkwater. It is too. Plays it back to Grills. Grills on to David Booth running hard. He's met in a very strong tackle there by Mansky and Keel. And Cross plays it back to Mansfield onto John Booth. He's going to use the boot. He kicks it deep. Gilbert's under it, and he takes it cleanly. Gilbert's going to run it up. He's met in a good tackle there by Stu Grills and David Booth over the top.
Yes, and Gilbert plays the ball back to Danzy dummy half. On to, that's out the centre, Chris Hamilton there, running hard on the ball. His brother Peter in a dummy half. He plays the ball back to Gill, and here comes Tank Duncan running on the ball, looking for support, can't unload. Up and plays the ball back to Cross. On to Gill, and Barry Danzy's cut out, and it's Shanks Hansen. He's met in a good hard tackle there by the front rower and Dickinson.
Paul, he's really keeping them back to 5, referee Alexander.
Yes.
He's giving them
Play started at a fairly hot rate at the moment. Peter Hamlin scored in the tackle, unloads to Peter Gilbert, steps and weaves, throws the dummy and cuts them out, and makes some good ground inside to Chris Hamlin, and Chris Hamlin sets sail for the line, and it's 4 points to the Brothers. Chris Hamlin scored about 4 metres out from the goal post, and that's a fine individual try there, I think was set up by their captain coach there.
Yes, good work there, Paul.
Peter Gilbert, I think,
Peter
Paddy.
Gilbert.
Yes, Peter Gilbert. Good lead-up work there, and Brothers really mean business in this first half today, Paddy.
Yes, they've come out firing, Paul. That was very good lead-up work by Peter Gilbert. He stepped on the inside, picked up. It was Peter Hamilton, Paul.
Chris Hamilton, the try scorer, Paddy, picked him up on the inside. Younger brother, Chris.
It was too. Geez, they look alike.
Yes, I think you haven't come down. You're still floating about 2 foot there after winning your first grand final in the reserve grade, but You can't take it away from the... But anyway, Brothers are in front at the moment.
Paul, the wind's picked up, so if Brothers can get on top in the first half, they'll be... the wind will give them a lot of assistance in the second half, I'm sure, but Paul, a very big crowd out here today.
Yes, very big crowd has witnessed this grand final, and as we said before, it would have been the game last week that's brought them all out here, but here at the moment we see Mr. Cool, Barry Danzy, 7 straight grand finals, and he's played 7 winning grand finals. Comes in to add the extra 2 points, yes, and makes no mistake about it. So
Brothers lead 6-0. 6 minutes into the game, Paul.
Paddy, if Natives let Brothers play that type of game where they throw the ball around, I think Natives are going to be in trouble, Paddy.
Yeah, they certainly they're going to have to move up on them. In Grant, you can't give them any room to move, Paul.
And there's the kick-off down to Godovini, the winger. Giovanni, the winger. He's tackling a good tackle there from Taylor and Gill's over the top. Cross at half, back in the Gill. This is Ross Clune, the second row for Brothers. He's taking the play just up over the 22-metre mark. Up and plays the ball back to Gill. And that's Tang Duncan, comes onto the ball. He's tackled there, can't unload the ball.
They look very committed, the Brothers forwards, Paul.
That's sure, and they're lined back deep. Here goes Peter Gilbert in a long kick, and that could be out in the full note.
No, he's put his foot into touch.
Stepped his football.
There was a good take there by Peter Sherlock, and unfortunately, no, the referee has signalled he touched the ball. And
Paddy, this stage of the game, all the game seems to be going Brothers' way. They're getting the bounce of the ball, and that's what happens in grand finals.
Natives come up with that ball, Paul, through Michael Mansfield, who was a bit of a quagmire in that scrum there. Lance Wally comes up with a very strong run. And good tackle there by Gilbert and Hanson over the top. Taylor comes in for do a bit of work. He just takes play over the halfway line. Grills into dummy half out to Mansfield to Booth. Booth picks up big Dan Tanner. He's looking for runners. He gets around 1, gets around 2, but he can't get around Barry Danzy in cover defence. Tanner will get up and play it back to Lemura. On to Booth. Booth picks up McIntyre, and
Brothers a little bit thin out wide there, Paddy.
Certainly are, Paul. 5th and last. John Booth noticed that he's going to put the boot up, which he has done. There's no one out there at the stage. Haralga and Sherlock's come through. Taylor's, I don't know which way that's going to go. It's going to be a scrum.
Ball's gone into touch here. Yeah, Brothers were a little bit thin out wide there on that one, and Dan Tanner clapping on the face, making that bust there, and good defence there from Barry Danzy. Picked him up and wrapped him up, ball and all. And it's a Brothers feed.
That's a Brothers win again.
And that's Stephen Gill, the halfback, dives on the ball. He's up and plays the ball back to Danzy. Danzy on to Johnny Gilbert. He steps and weaves and makes a few yards there. He's met in some hard defence there from Waldo. Comes in over the top. Back plays the ball across to Gill. Here's Ross Clune. Picks up the big Mansky, the front rower down the centre. They're about 10 metres out from the halfway line. He plays the ball back to Peter, cross to Gill. Here's Tank Duncan running out a little bit wide of the ruck today. He's wrapped up ball and all by John Booth. Tony Darby tries to put him on the
big tank up, Paul.
Yes, they'll have to do a lot more weightlifting before they'll get him up off the ground. And that's the long ball out to Peter Hamilton. Tries to step around a few, but can't unload the ball. 5th and last tackle. What goes on here from the Brothers side? Back to Peter Gilbert, the kicker for the day. Passes back to John, who puts it out in touch. And a little bit of...
bit of shaping up out there, Paul.
Yeah, a bit of shaping up, altercations. Timbers are still running a little bit high, 31 minutes in this first half of the 1987 Rugby League Grand Final. Brothers leading 6 points to 0 at this stage. The scrum packs down, Brothers feed. It looks like...
It comes out with a Wanderers ball through Michael Mansfield. He tries and gets around Stephen Gilbert. That is to no avail. Out to Booth. Booth picks up Arelga coming in from fullback, gets around 1. He pushes away Hamilton. He's still running, but he doesn't get away from Shanks Hansen, who's having quite a good game so far, Paul. Plays it back to to Grills, to Taylor, to Booth. Booth are thin out wide to Darby. Darby's got room to move. He steps inside, gets around from 1. Finally gets it away to Taylor, who's backing up. Taylor gets the ball away to Sherlock. Sherlock steps inside, but it's about 5 metres away from the Brothers' try line.
Paddy, good work there from John Booth, who switched the ball. He could sense that there was nothing much on that line.
And goes over for a try. No, it must be so close. It's hard to see up here with 1 metre. Plays it back to David Booth. He's going to go himself. He's barging. He can't get away from that tackle. There's 5th and last. For sure there'll be bomb go up. Plays it back to, I can't see that. It's Michael Mansfield. Gets the ball back. Byman knocks it back, and that's going to be changeover.
Yeah, it should. Unfortunately, had to be a changeover here. Brothers come away with the ball. Tank Duncan running it hard. And he unloads the ball. Beautiful ball.
Going to be a penalty to Natives.
It's been a penalty there. Unloaded the ball when he was called held. And I think that was a very touchline decision, that one. And I think it was quite okay, that one. But anyway, the penalty's been awarded to Natives, and Natives, I'd say, would go for the 2 points here.
Yeah, and Paul, Michael Mansfield has been kicking well all year.
Yes, Paddy, plenty of excitement in this 1987 grand final. And a fair bit of emotions running all throughout the ground today. There's a lot of Native supporters out here and brother supporters. And it's good to see them, and Wanderers supporters, good to see them out here. It's a pity they can't get out. It's a pity they can't get out. It's a pity they can't. It's a pity they can't get out for the full season, Patrick.
Yeah, unfortunately, if we could get a crowd like this every Sunday, Paul, it'd be pretty good. Michael Mansfield.
Mick Mansfield lines her up.
28 minutes to go in the first half. And it's there. 2 points to Natives. Brothers lead Natives 6 points to 2.
28 minutes into the first half. The 1987 Rugby League Grand Final.
Paul, once again, that was good work there by John Booth, and equally as good by Greg Taylor. He always backs up that fella.
Yes. Sides look fairly even at this stage.
Yeah, Paul.
12 minutes to the final gone. Both like to throw the ball around, so I think we're in for a very entertaining match this afternoon, Patrick.
Crackerjack, Paul, as they say.
It's Peter Gilbert to restart play. And he comes, long kick, yes, long kick, high. Puts it up, puts pressure on him, Greg Taylor.
He's going to run it up himself. Drinkwater comes in from the wing and goes, good copybook tackle there, right around the leg. Vic Lemura moves in from his wing, and he's flung to the ground there by Robert Hanson, and Drinkwater, who's in the play again. Plays it back to Grills. John Booth's going to use the boot, which he does. It's not a bad kick, that one. Giovannoni's chasing it, but what a kick. I tell you, Paul, he has taken play from the 22 in his own turf to about 10 yards, 10 metres from Brothers' try line, and that is a good kick.
Yes, that would have to be one of the kicks of the year, that one, and what a day to do it in grand final day. I reckon John Booth will be hoping for a few more of those in this grand final. And the scrum packs down at the Brothers' feed in that far top corner. We're about 15 metres out from Brothers' try line.
He's certainly taken the weight off his forward shoulders in that kick, Paul.
Yes, and that's the halfback and Stephen Gill. And Natives have been penalised. There was David Booth there not getting up off the tackle player and Gill, letting him play the ball. So that's eased the pressure off Brothers. They can't afford to do those mistakes, Paddy, Natives, if they're going to win their game.
No, not when they're down there, Paul. You've got to try and capitalise on the kick he did do. But anyway,
and here comes Big Tank straight up the centre, trying to unload the ball. You're looking a lot finer football this week than last week. And Brothers play the ball out to Ross Keel, who unloads the ball. That's Leroy Mensky, and they've been driven back in this play the ball. They're tackling about 30 metres out from the try line, crossing the dummy half onto Gilbert, and his brother John comes in for a little hard tackle, stands and gets out of one or two
running
tackles.
Out today, Paul.
And that's crossed from dummy half, and it picks up Ross Clune straight up the middle. Ross Keel.
I apologise.
He plays the ball. That's Tank Duncan straight up the middle.
Paul, he is doing a lot of work, Tank.
Yeah, settling place straight up, and it's back to Gill, out to Gilbert, and a long ball out to Chris Hamilton, onto his brother Peter, and a switch around, but they're tackled straight away there by the Native centre.
They swarmed on him.
Yes, and plenty of defence there from the Native second rowers. That's Peter Gilbert, puts the boot in. That's a long kick down to that far corner. That looks
and
like...
Guy Arolga comes up with the ball deep into Natives territory. Guy Arolga gets away. No, he doesn't. Good chasing there by Peter Gilbert.
Yeah,
there.
Great tackle there by Peter Gilbert.
And that's going to be a penalty to Brothers. He is referee Alexandra has claimed that Guy Arolga.
Yeah, no, Paddy, I'd have to agree with the referee there. The Vic Lemura went to play the ball, and he didn't place it on the ground, and he pulled it back up again. So he was hesitation, didn't play the ball there and balking. So. I feel as though that was a right decision by the referee there, Paddy.
Well, Paul, by 2 points here, if Barry Danzy can convert it, will give Brothers just that slight lead, a 6-point lead, which in grand final time, Paul, every single point is important.
That's right, but I just got that feeling Natives are just starting to get wound up a little bit. John Booth's just starting to find his mark with those kicks. We saw that big long kick before. You only need 2 or 3 in the game, and those kicks can break the back of any side.
Yeah, Paul, all you need is 1 point in the grand final, and kicks like this one Barry Danzy is taking are very important.
Danzy
It's been a good game so far, Paul.
Yes, it's been very entertaining for the big Courier this afternoon. Danzy lines up this kick, 24 minutes in the first half.
Barry Danzy goes in for it, and it's there. Brothers lead Natives.
8 points,
8 points to 2. 24 minutes to go in the first half of the 1987 Rugby League Grand Final.
And I think Brothers have got the advantage of that very hard game they had last week, Paddy. That's making a big difference, I think, to their conditioning. Natives had that easy game against Wanderers first up, and then they have a week's break. So they haven't really had a hard game for, you could say, 4 weeks.
Robert Hanson knocks that back onto John Gilbert. Well,
John Gilbert up and plays the ball just out in the 22 metre. That Shanks Hanson runs from dummy half. He's put down about 25 metres out from the try line. Leroy Mansky on to Tank Duncan, who comes in for plenty of attention there from the Natives forwards in the tune of Peter Dickinson and Waldo. Plays the ball back to Peter Gilbert, who puts in the high swivelling long kick. And that's
Lemure right underneath it. He's going to run it up Drinkwater, opposite winger. He's down there, but Peter Gilbert runs into a swarm of Brothers players there. John Booth goes into dummy half, picks up. Oh, the ball went astray. Danny Tanner ends up coming with it. He's tackled by opposite number Peter Hamilton. Brian Drinkwater once again in there. Plays it back to Pyman on Guy Aroga, comes up with the ball. He loses it, and John Booth ends up coming up with the ball. He's met there by Barry Danzy, who tries and picks up and has a bit of waltz. But nothing goes back to Taylor on to Dave Booth. Dave Booth picks up Michael Mansfield on the inside, gets the ball away to Greg Taylor. He's got nowhere to move, and he's just met in a strong tackle there by 3 Brothers defenders. Out to John Booth. John Booth is going to use his boot again and kicks the ball well down into Brothers territory. Brian Drinkwater ends up coming up with the ball.
Brian Drinkwater takes it out from the try line, runs it up and runs into about 3 or 4 Natives defenders. That's good defence and good defensive plan there by Natives. He's up and plays the ball back to John Gilbert. Runs from dummy half straight into the arms of waiting John Booth, who tackles him, Tom McIntyre, over the top. He gets up and plays the ball. Plays it back to Cross on to Gill, and that's Mansky out wide. Runs into David Booth, who tries to pinch the ball out of his hands, but doesn't do so. Tackles, plays the ball back to Peter Cross, who throws the dummy, and that's Waldo. Thrashes him to the ground. He gets up and plays the ball back to Mansky. Switches back to the line. Straight ball there by Duncan. He's going to have to dive, and he misses, and Danzy dives on it.
Silly ball there by
that's fifth and last tackle position. Pressure's right back on Brothers now, Paddy.
John Gilbert comes up. They're going to keep him down there, and Vic Lemura comes up with the ball. Barry Danzy stops his progress. Plays it back to Heralga. Heralga's going to go for a bit of a stroll himself. Goes sideways and makes about 5 metres in that run. Stu Grills goes into dummy half, picks up Peter Dickinson. He's met in a strong tackle there by Mansky and Peter Cross. Plays it back to Grills. He's going to go and settle play down a bit and make an extra couple of metres in that run. Greg Taylor's going to go in the dummy half, plays it back to Mansfield. Mansfield onto John Booth. He's looking for runners. There was supposed to be Danny Tanner on the inside to end up getting away to brother David Booth. David Booth gets it away to Stu Grills, picks up Dan Tanner. He loses the ball, and that's a penalty to Brothers. It come off from the ball come from an offside position, and Shanks Hansen dived on it and ended up being a Natives penalty. That was a touch-and-go situation, Paul. Unlucky for them, but Natives come up with a penalty. Yes,
I think Brothers could be lucky to escape with 2 points against them anyway. The try was on.
Michael Mansfield's going to go for the attempted goal again. Paul, there was good work there by David Booth. And Stewie Grills just unlucky there with Tanner putting the ball down.
And we haven't seen much of the big centre Dan Tanner yet. He's touched the ball a couple of times and been very dangerous. I'm quite sure John Booth's going to bring him into the play more as the game gets on. He very dangerous when he got the ball in, unlucky not to score. So I think they're going to call on him to do a little bit more work.
Michael Mansfield moves in for the attempted
And
goal.
there it goes.
And it's
Another
there.
2 points to Natives.
Brothers 8, Natives 4 with 19 minutes to go.
Yes, I think this is going to be a very close game to the finish there. There's not much in it. Brothers are lucky they've got those points on the board, I think, at the moment, Paddy.
What's that, Paul?
Brothers are lucky they've got those points on the board at the moment, Patrick.
Yeah.
Your shout, Wesley.
As we found out last week, Paul, the kick's very important.
And Brothers to restart play. Captain Coach Peter Gilbert comes in, puts a long, short kick this time. David Booth knocks it back.
Lance Wally comes up with the ball. Drinkwater's in there. He's getting involved in the game, this Brian Drinkwater. David Booth going to take a little settler himself. Drinkwater, sorry, no, that was Peter Cross. Plays it back to Lance Wally. He gets it back, picks up Tom McIntyre. And referee Alexander said the ball was passed forward.
Was it offside position?
Back.
Offside position, accepting the ball, Paddy.
Stephen
Anyway,
Gilbert, scrum, Brothers come up with it.
That's Peter Gilbert, the 5'8". Very dangerous player at this stage of the game, looking very sharp. Tackle there by John Booth. Up and plays the ball back to Stephen Gill. Here's Shanks Hansen straight in the centre of the ruck. Puts his head down, dummy half his cross, moves the ball back to Gill. And back to Ross Keel, who's met in a good tackle there by Waldo. Waldo, plenty of defence at this stage of the game. Back plays it across.
Here comes Tang. Oh,
that was a good hit there by Tommy McIntyre,
Paul.
Peter Cross. Shanks Hansen up the centre, inside to Barry Danzy. He pushes off one but can't get away from the tackler, Greg Taylor. He gets up and plays the ball out to Peter Gilbert, who goes to a field goal. Yes, that's a one-point
field goal. That was probably good thinking there by Peter Gilbert, Paul.
Yes, at this stage of the game, that's a 4 points to 9, but I don't think I'd have done that. I'd have kept them down. They kept the pressure on trying to get 6 points.
Well, I still end up coming up with the ball. The name of these grand finals,
Paddy, is keep the pressure on the other side.
Then again, also, Paul, 1 point can win a game.
Anyway, here comes the kickoff. That's the way the game's going. It's good
Michael
entertaining
Mansfield's
stuff.
going to take the kick. He boots it down, goes deep into Brothers territory. And John Gilbert ends up coming up with the ball.
John Gilbert takes it out from his own try line, makes about 22 metres in that run. Natives a bit standoffish there. Here's Ross Keel, comes up, and he's tackled there by John Booth. Wraps him up over the top, plays the ball back to Peter Cross, on to Stephen Gill, who picks out Chris Hamlin running out wide.
Oh,
he's made a good tackle there by Dan Tanner. And the young fella knew he was tackled in, I tell you. And he's knocked the ball on in the
that was a very strong tackle there by Danny Tanner. He is a big man. And
yes, I think Dan Tanner's going to get involved in the game as more it goes on. He could play an important role.
The Natives win. Michael Mansfield comes up with the ball. Rick Lemieux is going to go for a bit of a scoot. He catches him off guard, gets around one. He doesn't get around Peter Gilbert or Barry Danzy. I think that was over the top. No, Barry Danzy's getting heavily involved in the game in this early part. Plays it back to Booth. Danny Tanner was too wide, ends up picking up Stu Grills to Michael Mansfield. Michael Mansfield can't get the ball away. John Booth's going to go into dummy half, which he does. He's going to run himself. He picks up David Booth. David Booth drops it. It's knocked back. It's going to be a scrum.
Yeah, it's a little bit too flat. They should have been a lot deeper in attack there, Paddy. David Booth on that occasion likes to run into the ball and unload it, but on that occasion he just didn't have the room.
Oh, yeah, anyway, they come up with the win through Michael Mansfield. Stewie Grill's winning a lot of ball through that scrum. After Lance Wally. Lance Wally's going to attack Brothers' line. He goes nowhere with Barry Danzy again, and John Gilbert coming in from fullback. Stewie Grill's going to put your head down, Stewie, and he's going to go. He must be about 2 metres away from Brothers' try line. It goes through John Booth. Dan Tanner on the boil, but that's a good tackle there. Someone got hurt there. We can't pick it up. Out to John Booth. John Booth going to pick up runner in Greg Taylor. Fifth and last tackle. That was a good there. It was Stephen Gill. John Booth. He's going to put the little grubber. Goes straight in the hands of Peter Cross, and he ends up coming up with the ball.
Yes,
Pressure's on Brothers.
Peter Cross now up and plays the ball. That's Leroy Mensky trying to ruck the ball out. He's met in a good hard tackle there by David Booth. And up and plays the ball. Out wide there to Tank Duncan. Run a little bit wide. Unloads the ball to...
big driving tackle.
Good and a hard tackle there by
Michael Mansfield.
Michael Mansfield. Peter Goebel says, let's get out of here, puts in the kick, go right down over halfway line. That ball's going to run. That's a good kick from the captain coach.
Guy ends up coming up with the ball. Peter Hamilton's down there. He switches, but a good tackle there by Peter Hamilton. Plays it back to Vic Lemura. He tries to step around Peter Hamilton, and he's going to keep play down there. Plays it back to Aralga to John Booth. Picks up Tommy McIntyre. He's a workhorse for Natives so far in this game.
Yes, brothers showing plenty of determination this so
Certainly
far.
are, Paul. Plays it back to John Booth. John Booth got runners out wide in the Pieman. Picks up Tony Darley. He's got room to move. He gets around Shanks Hansen. Gets a ball away to... No, he's classed that ball had been passed unintentionally forward. So a scrum will pack down.
Paddy, I think Dan Tanner was tackled without the ball on that occasion, and Tony Darby was just about to throw in the ball, and he saw Brothers guy just to pounce on him, so I think there should have been a penalty awarded there from that play.
Stu Grills comes up with another... No, he doesn't. Geez, he's winning some ball, Paul.
Yes, our statistician can give us a scoreline on those scrums, please.
That's another Natives ball.
4-0 scrum.
I don't know how that happened.
Natives
that would have been... Referee Alexandra has claimed a knock-on, so scrum will be once again taken in 5 metres into Brothers territory. That's a Brothers win. Stephen Gill.
Stephen Gill comes away from...
up with these Gilberts and Gills, Paul.
That's Barry Danzy, runs from dummy half. Looks to unload the ball, no one there. That's Peter Cross in the dummy half position. Gill moves on to John Gilbert. That's the Leroy Mansky up over the halfway line. Push back on the tackle and tackle right about 1 metre over the halfway line. Plays the ball back to Cross on to Gill. Brothers out deep, but no runners to play. Back to the blind side.
I think there was something on there, Paul, and there was no runners coming.
A little bit of uncertainty. The Brothers play now creeping in. That's John Gilbert. Stands in the tackle.
I think Peter Dickinson's been hurt.
Peter Gilbert says, we've had enough of this. I'll put the ball out in the full and we'll have a scrum. We'll start all over again. Paddy, I think the pace of the game's starting to tell a little bit now. 12 minutes to go before half-time. It's been a very fast game up to this stage of the game.
It really has been, Paul. That's another Natives win.
Yes, that's...
Stu Grill comes up with the ball. He takes play right into Brothers territory now. Steve Gill, good tackle right around the legs. Plays it back to Booth. He switches play to David Booth. David Booth picks up runners in Peter Dickinson. He met in a strong tackle there by Tank Duncan and Barry Danzy. Plays it back to Michael Mansfield to David Booth. Picks up Greg Taylor on the inside. Natives are using the switch on the inside quite a lot today. Plays it back to Mansfield. Mansfield on to David Booth. Throws it to John. John going to go himself. Picks a gap. Gets away from one. Gets away from two. And he feeds the ball to Danny Tanner. But Danny Tanner is could go nowhere with Peter Gilbert wrapped right around his shoulders to Michael Mansfield. He put the boot down and straight in the claws of
Brian Drinkwater, who runs out and gets around Vic Lemura and comes back and gets away from Lance Wally. But he's still going. Drinkwater, good run there, up over well over the 22-metre mark. Plays the ball back to Chris Hamlin. On to Barry Dans, who takes the ball up a few more metres. He's caught in the tackle there. Plays the ball back to Cross. On to Gill. Gill picks up Duncan and picks up Ross Keel, who's running out wide. Brothers still electing to throw this ball around. 11 minutes to go before half-time. Keel plays the ball forward.
Paul, he had a marker and Greg Taylor there all the time.
He had a marker there, Patrick, and
silly mistake, Paul, because they were on the attack.
Yeah, Natives were a little bit thin on both sides of the ruck there in defence, but that's the way the game goes. Dan Tanner comes in now. We're going to kick for this far touch line. And that's a good-looking kick from Dan Tanner, just over the 22-metre mark. Paddy, pressure back on Brothers now.
Yeah, it certainly is, Paul. Bullshit. They've got to move on here. Peter Sherlock taps the ball, just runs straight into the Brothers forwards. There's something on out wide here. Stu Grill goes in the dummy half, plays it back to Taylor. Taylor picks up Booth, who switches on the inside to Mansfield, who's on to Booth to Tanner. Tanner throws a long ball, goes nowhere. Tony Darby finally picks it up. That's knocked back. Wasn't a really good ball by Tanner there.
Paddy, they can't afford to throw balls around like that. The pressure was on them then. And,
no, not at all. Not when they're down here, Paul. Plays that Vic Lemura ran in just to settle play down a bit. Plays it back to Darby. onto Mansfielder. John Booth picks up Tommy McIntyre. And Mansky and Peter Cross, the tacklers. Stewie Grills goes into dummy half. Fifth and last tackle out to John Booth. Sends it wide out to Dave. Puts a little chip through. David Booth, pretty talented front rower. John Gilbert ends up coming up with the ball.
Yes, John Gilbert's there hitting a good hard tackle there from David Booth underneath. And there's some Shank Sanson makes a good half break. Gets Brothers out of territory. Natives player left. Oh, there's a bad mistake. And I can't pick up what that penalty...
Future statistics at the moment. Natives have won the...
there was a little bit of interference.
Penalties going 3-all to 3-all.
That last penalty, Paddy, there was a little bit of interference in the play the ball there. And
well, while we're on the moment, the scrums are going Natives' way 5.5 to 2, and Natives have won 3 against the head. 2
yes.
As statistician.
And here comes Brothers from the set move. Mansky takes the ball up. Now we see Keel. He moves the ball onto Stephen Gill, who breaks out of one tackle, breaks out of another tackle, and he's moving down that far touchline, and he's slung to the ground by the fullback there in Guayarelga.
Good work by young Stephen Gill, Paul.
Gets up and plays the ball. And Brothers are going to throw it. They're not deep enough.
Oh.
Standing flat-footed. Peter Gilbert,
pretty elusive player, Peter Gilbert, Paul.
Yes, he just about broke the line again there. Natives just hung on by the skin of their teeth. Here comes Tank Duncan onto the ball. Throws a wild one inside, hoping for someone there, but it went to ground. Shank Sanson dives on it.
Pressure's on Natives at the moment.
He gets up and plays the ball back to Danzy. Danzy goes for the field goal. It's charged down, and this ball could go anywhere.
Natives ball. Play on. Darby comes up with the ball. Gets it on to Tanner. Tanner's got room to move. He's outstriking Gilbert. Danny Tanner's going to score. He's going to go for the line. Drinkwater's chasing, but that's a try to Danny Tanner. How the game changes, Paul.
Yes, well, there you have it, Paddy. There you have it. They went for the field goal. Brothers were trying to play it safe and go for a field goal, and we see Natives come away with a 4-pointer with the kick to come. So Natives right back in this game, rugby league. I tell you what, the fortunes can change any old time of the day.
Paul, I tell you, the people are really getting their money's worth today. That was come from a attempted field goal by Barry Danzy. It was knocked down. It was knocked down by, I think it was Pyman. Danny Tanner end up coming, Pyman come up with the ball.
Paddy, the try scorer, Big Dan Tanner, one of Bundaberg's favourite sons at the moment, played for Australian countryside last year, and he's come up with a great try, and that's put Natives right back in the game now.
Yes, Paul, it really did. That's what Natives did need. At the moment, they did need that because they were going backwards.
A point of interest, you can see a few Brothers players haven't got behind the try line here, and I don't know whether it's a tactical move.
It was Dan Tanner just got away from John Gilbert, Paul. He just snuck through there.
Yeah, he showed plenty of pace. He outpaced that Brian Drinkwater, who's supposed to be one of the speediest wingers in town, and he kept well away from him. So good running there by Dan Tanner, showed plenty of pace.
Michael Mansfield comes in for the goal, and that's not a bad-looking kick. It's not there. It had the distance. It had the height. Just the direction was a little to the right.
So at the moment, we've got a tremendous game of rugby league on our hands. The scoreline, Brothers 9 up. Natives 8.
6 minutes to
go to half-time, and Brothers to come up and restart play here. And that one's really caught Brothers by surprise, that try. And that's the type of things that happens in grand finals. You cannot rest on your laurels at all, right till that winning siren. Anyway, Peter Gilbert comes up to restart play. It's a short little rubbery.
Pyman comes up with the ball. He's met in there by Drinkwater. He's really coming in and doing a lot of work, Paul. Plays it back to McIntyre to Lance Wally. He rucks it up. Met in a strong tackle there by Brian Drinkwater again. And Peter Cross plays it back to Michael Mansfield. Mansfield's going to just decide to... He gets away from one. He's got a bit of room to move. He's going to run. He's got it. He steps around one. He doesn't get away from John Gilbert, but that's not a bad run there by Michael Mansfield. Takes play well into Brothers territory.
Natives on the ball at the moment.
Certainly are, Paul. John Booth, he's going to use a little chip. There's no one home. It goes into Giovanoni. He knocks it back, but David Booth and is No, he gets around from, but John Booth doesn't get away.
Yes,
Doesn't let Giovanoni get away from him.
good tactics there by Natives, keeping the pressure on. There's 4 minutes to go. They can still get in for another 4-pointer. That's Barry Danzy skirting the ruck out wide there. He's picked up by Dan Tanner. Up and plays the ball. Back to Mansky. Mansky tries to ruck the ball out. Yeah, makes a few metres till he's tackled there by Danny Tanner again and come over the top. Here comes Ross Keel, who takes the ball up the 22-metre mark. He plays the ball back to Peter Gilbert. He elects to kick, and this is a long, high spiral kick.
And
Right
right under it comes Guy Horalga. Good take by Horalga. He runs straight into Peter Hamilton. Shanks Hansen, who looks hurt at this stage of the game. Vic Lemura comes in from his wing. He's going to decide to take a bit of workload off his fellow forwards. He gets up and plays it back to Horalga, plays it on to Taylor. Taylor on to Booth. Booth misses out McIntyre, but picks up Wally, and Wally gets nearly gets the ball away.
Yeah, Shanks Hansen, that hip injury, I think, Paddy's aggravated that again.
There it goes to Michael Mansfield again. Gee, he's making a fair bit of ground at this stage. It looks like Danny Tanner's down.
Across the other side, I think if Dan Tanner sustains an injury in this game, could have a bearing on the result.
Certainly does. John Booth picks it on the inside, picks up David Booth, who ends up picking up Peter Sherlock on the win, but Michael Mansfield's rolling around in agony at the moment. Plays it back to John Booth. He steps around cross. He puts the boot up.
That's a good-looking bomb there.
Chases. Giovanoni takes a good take there.
Well, there's plenty of pressure being put on that young winger over the side there, and he's certainly come up winners in those few kicks anyway. They play the ball back to Ross Keel, who tries to ruck the ball out. He's metting some good hard defence there.
Well, Michael Mansfield looks as though he's really injured. Danny Tanner's going to take a short spell there.
Yes, and he's been one of the trump cards there for Natives. And here's Tank Dunton setting up.
Oh, what a hit! But Hamilton ends up coming away.
And has been picked up for a forward pass. So that was a great bit of play there. Tony Darby shoulder charges Peter Hamilton.
Also, runner Chris Kirkpatrick is singling for Natives that Michael Mansfield needs assistance from the ambulance.
Very exciting stuff out here this afternoon, Paddy. Oh, what grand finals are made of, and I tell you what, the crowd are sure getting their $4 worth this afternoon.
Certainly are, Paul. Are we on? No. Certainly are, Paul. Michael Mansfield, I couldn't really see what happened to him. Statistician Rob Weber said he did land on his head, but the ambulance is...
Paddy, Nick Mansfield's been the virtually the playmaker for Natives there this afternoon, and been very dominant there in the half-back position, and I think if he goes from the field, it's going to put a lot of pressure on John Booth at the moment.
Yeah, Paul, I don't know if he does what they could do. They could switch Greg Taylor, because that's his customary role, is half-back. If Mansfield does come off, Taylor could go to half-back, and... I'm just trying to look on Natives' reserve bench.
Yes, we've got one of the Bundaberg's leading A-graders up here at the moment, and we introduced this afternoon Michael Ray, whose brother has just won the Curio Mile Player of the Award down there. Michael, good afternoon, Michael. I say good afternoon,
Paul.
How are you this afternoon?
Good, thanks. Yourself?
Good grand final out of this afternoon. How do you think the game's going at this stage?
Very even at the moment, Paul, I think. Could go either way.
You must be very proud of your younger brother winning that big award down in Brisbane.
Yes, it's very good to see. I've
You
been right on the Greek Isles for a couple of weeks.
Any intentions of following his footsteps and trying...
Absolutely none, Paul.
Well, we didn't think so. Yes,
Not the greatest trainer on earth.
Michael, at the moment, Natives a little bit of trouble, got a couple of injury problems out there, so Vic Mansfield's been played a big part in this first half, so he's going to be dearly missed as he has to come off.
No, I think he'll stay on there, Paul. It's a grand final, he won't want to come off.
No, I think you'll have to need a tow truck to tow him off. You're going to get him off the field.
Yeah,
anyway, those comments
he's having a great game.
Those comments from Michael Ray. Back to the game, Paddy. Scrum just about to pack down.
Yes, thanks, Mike, for those invaluable comments. Michael. It's going to be scrum, yes. Greg Taylor.
Natives. No, it's been time called out again.
Sorry. Greg Taylor is feeding the scrum at this stage. Michael Mansfield's is on the wing. He won't come off. It's a Natives win again. Gee, they've won some ball today through Stewie Grills. Vic Lemura comes, pushes away Michael Mansfield and says, you have a break, mate, I'm going to take a run here. Plays it back to Stu Grills on to Greg Taylor. He picks up Lance Wally in, and he gets away from one, gets away from two. But anyway, Barry Danzy comes over the top with Peter Cross, who's doing a lot of tackling at the moment. Plays it back to Taylor on to Booth. Booth picks up brother David, and David gets it back to John Booth. He steps around from one. He's got on to Dan Tanner. Dan Tanner pushes away, and that's a try.
Dan Tanner's in for his second try, and I think that's going to make
good work by both the Booth brothers.
That's going to make the difference, I think. I think Brothers' defence have been shot to pieces in this last 5 minutes, Paddy.
Paul, John Booth did that little dummy, sucked about 3 of them in.
Yes, and at the moment, Paddy, we have one of the jubilant Native supporters down in front of us here.
He's going wild. He's got one of the funniest hairstyles I've seen, Paul, but he's a very jubilant Native supporter at the moment.
He's in the two colours. True colours of the black and white, and
yes.
Natives are really rallying. 12 points to 9. The kick to come. It's a long way out. Mick Mansfield to take it, but yeah, Brothers very shoddy in defence in the last 5 or 6 minutes.
John Booth is talking to Jeff Dixon at the moment. He could be concerning the condition of Michael Mansfield, but Michael Mansfield's taking the kick, so he looks as though he's back on deck. It's
Paddy,
half time over. 12
Paddy, that's the problem. If they do replace Mick Mansfield, they've also got to replace their kicker. So
that could be important, and he has been kicking well all day today, Paul.
So you've got to sum up all these situations. Do you leave him on the wing just there for his kicking ability?
And that kick is right over. Natives lead 14 points to 9 in half time. Actually, Michael Mansfield is holding his ribs.
Yes, I don't think you can afford to replace him. He's a kicking ability. He's kicked one right from the sideline there. And
Paul, he is holding his ribs. Something, I bet you we could see a replacement from Natives at half time, and I think Brothers might have to make a few replacements at this stage.
They've got to replace a goal kicker too if they replace him, and he's on target today, so I reckon he'll stay on the wing for the next 10 or 15 minutes and see how he goes. But I think Brothers have really got their back to the wall, down 14 points to 9 at half-time. Okay, they were down 12 points to 0 last week and come back, but this is a grand final. They're playing a different side today.
Well, as you said, Paul, it is a grand final. Those blokes will be putting everything in again, and as Brothers did, they did come back last week from 12 points to 0. And, they know that there's only 40 minutes left of football in 1987, and they won't be throwing the towel in too easily.
Just looking at both sides, players to stand out in the Brothers side at the moment. In their back line, I think the two Hamlin boys are going reasonably well, but I think Dan Tanner is starting to get the better of him, and Tony Darby, and the last 5 or 10 minutes they are starting to get over him. And but this 5'8" captain coach of Brothers, Peter Gilbert, is having a very good game at the moment. Stephen Gill at halfback, he's going quite well, and Brothers forwards, I think Shanks Hansen would be replaced. He's carrying an injury, and he was dearly lacked in that last couple of minutes there for his defence. Barry Danzy having a pretty big game.
Yes, Paul, he really is, especially in his defence. He really is stopping. A lot of times Natives have had the edge on him, and his vital tackle, has stopped play. Paul, before we go into Natives' best player statistics for the game, the penalties have gone 3-all. The scrums, Natives are leading them by 5-2 with 2 against the head. The tries, 1 from Chris Hamilton to Brothers. Dan Tanner has scored 2, while Barry Danzy has converted 2 goals, while Michael Mansfield has converted 3.
Those just looking at
by Peter Gilbert.
Just looking at those scrums.
Those players led on by Peter Gilbert. At this point of time, there's been no changes to Brothers' side. At the moment, Natives running onto the field.
And at the moment, we can see the two
Michael
Kings
Mansfield
coming
looks
back
as though
on the
he's
side,
okay.
and they're keen to get into
So
this final second half of the rugby league.
Remain unchanged.
And that was a very good
after
display there by
half-time break.
the Kathy Grant's girls. And I must give full marks to the BRL for that sort of promotion, but perhaps they're...
Kathy Grant, fitness class chat. That's from the group from Channel 8. Also, the music today is supplied by Fernando Centuria. Glad to see you out and about, and good round of applause for Katie, and those skirts are supplied by Major James out at Sugarland. Thanks a lot, crowd, and back on with me.
Paddy, the timing of the girls wasn't what you call perfect, but it's good to see that sort of thing going on out here. You know, that really gets the crowd going and gets them into the mood, because we're in for a hell of a second half in the 1987 Senior Rugby League Grand Final.
Well, while we're talking at the moment, I'll just tell you, Natives have Michael Booth, North's, don't get me wrong, North's fullback has come back for the weekend to see both his brothers John and David in the grand final, so I no doubt he would be giving them a few inspirational words in the dressing room at half-time with their big game next week against Brothers.
Yes, Paddy, he's had some big seasons since he's moved down to Brothers. He was captain the Valley side last year. It's a great feather in a cap for a guy to captain a Brisbane Brisbane A-grade side, and he done that last season. This year he's turned to Northern Suburbs, who play that big game.
Here goes the kick-off, Paul.
And here goes the kick-off.
That goes straight in the hands of Robert Hanson. There was a good tackle there by Lance Wally. Climbing over the top. Tank Duncan comes in for a run. He makes it quite a few valuable metres in that run. Plays it back to Gilbert onto Mansky. Mansky's met in a good hard tackle there by Dave Booth over the top. Stewie Grills throws it to Peter Gilbert. He's going to use the wind which is available. Goes straight into the hands of Guy Haralga.
That was a great tackle from Guy Haralga. Pushes off one, pushes off two, and comes up to another. That was great work then by the fullback, Guy Haralga. And up and plays the ball back to Stewie Grills, who moves on to Vic Lemura. Vic Lemura throws a wild pass out for Danny Tanner, picks up in the half volley, moves on to Tony Darby. Darby's going to try and pick up his winger, but no, he takes the tackle. Up and plays the ball back to Dan Tanner, moves it on to John Booth, who cuts out one or two players, picks up Tommy McIntyre, takes the ball straight down the middle of the ruck. He gets up and plays the ball. Stewie Grills dummy up, moves on to Greg Taylor. To Waldo. Waldo says, I'm going to straighten it up.
Oh, he gets away from them.
He breaks one or two tackles. That's a good run there. Just couldn't unload the ball. There was no backup there. Plays the ball back to Stewie Grills. On to Johnny Booth. Out to Michael Mansfield. Picks up Danny Tanner. Moves the ball inside to Mick Mansfield, who's thrown off that rib injury. We'll see how he comes up after this good heavy tackle there. Three Brothers players. John Booth, he elects to throw the ball right to brother David, who throws it right out to Vic Lemura. Right out in the far wing there, and they've caught in a possession, and that's a changeover.
Yes, Paul, Natives elected to spin it wide there. Gilbert comes up, Barry Danzy's going to take a ruck up, which he does, mess him in a good tackle there by David Booth and Lance Wally. Danzy will get up and plays it back to Gilbert. Gilbert on finding Tank Duncan on the boil. He has done a bit of running today, the big fella.
Yeah, but no big hits out of him, Paddy.
But plays it back to John Gilbert. He's going to use his boot again. And Guy Haralga just misjudged that.
That's a difficult one for Guy Haralga, and this Breeze has actually got up. That's right back to the try line now. And I think Brothers are going to really exploit that kicking game in the second half. Tries to get around Brian Drinkwater, but he wraps him up in a shoulder and all tackle. Natives leading 14 points to 9 this stage of this second half. Vic Lemura, he tries to ruck the ball out. Natives forwards back in position now to ruck the ball out.
Peter
John
Cross
Booth
is doing a lot of
switches
work
the ball
for,
back to Dan Tanner on the blind side. Very short blind, not much room to move. And he's quickly racked up there, and a good tackle there from Chris Hamill underneath. Mick Mansfield looking to unload the ball. He's wrapped under a couple of more tackles there from quick play the ball back to Greg Taylor. To John Booth, out to brother David. Steps and weaves and tries to, unloads it. Waldo
Lance Wally,
knocked the ball on.
But
I
good
tell
work
you what,
in regaining it.
very lucky then. Peter Hamilton picked that ball up in the half volley, Paddy. We had him on the wrong foot, but
Well, it's brothers feed through Stephen Gill. They do come up with it. Steve switches plays, picks up John Gilbert. He slips, he picks up brother Gilbert, who's made a mess of it. But that's going to be a scrum, same position. It's going to be a natives feed.
Paddy, those sort of mistakes you don't, you can't make at this stage of the game. 37 minutes in the second half, a captain coach, that's a pretty bad mistake. They had the pressure on natives there.
Yeah, they
desperately need to try to put them back in this game.
Come up with the ball. Stephen Gill, he's going to take a run himself. He's been playing pretty good all day. Young Stephen Gill goes it back to Rob Hanson. He's going to try and does get the ball away back to Peter Gilbert. He's electing to spin it wide through brother John Gilbert. Peter Hamilton's got room to move. He gets around one, gets around two. He won't get through brothers David and John Booth. He plays it back to Peter Cross in there, dummy half, plays it on to Peter Gilbert. A long ball out to Barry Danzy, standing wide. He does get it back to Ross Keel, on to Peter Gilbert. Gilbert's looking for runners, finds Shanks Hansen, gets a ball. No, he doesn't. It looks as though he did from up here. Plays it back to Peter Gilbert as dummy half to Stephen Gill. Stephen Gill picks up John Gilbert. He's going to go himself, gets it back to Stephen Gill to John Gilbert. He's spinning it wide on to Ross Keel, but Guy Aroga's come from the dummy, from fullback position and really wraps him up in a strong tackle.
Good tackle there from the fullback, Paddy.
Certainly was, Paul. Back to Drinkwater to Gilbert. He's going to do a dummy go himself, something similar to what John Booth did in the first half. Plays it back to Gilbert. Chris Cross. He puts a little chip straight into the hands of Vic Lemura, who comes up the ball.
Comes away with the ball right in the try line there, natives try line. Up and plays the ball. Tommy McIntyre. Greg Taylor dummies to him and takes the ball down the blind side. Up and plays the ball. 35 minutes the second half gone. 14 points to 9. Natives lead. 5 minutes gone. 35 minutes going. Just informed by my cameraman. Here comes Waldo. Makes the break on to Dan Tenner. Dan Tenner split him wide open again and flying the ball inside to John Booth, who's picked up the ball. And it's 6 to go. What a great position natives are in now. They're going to throw the ball wide. And that's the Pyman, takes the ball up, pushes off one, pushes off two.
Good run by Peter Dickinson there, Paul.
Upton plays the ball. Stewie Grills the dummy off, moves it to McMansfield, switches the ball back to Waldo, to Johnny Booth, who picks up brother David, who picks up, that's the centre.
Tony Darby goes inside.
And outside to Peter Sherlock, who just can't link up with no support inside. And that's about...
The changeover, Paul. Danny Tenner, Paul, is seeking attention at the moment.
They
plays it back across. Mancy's going to run it up, but Peter Sherlock goes in over the top with Stewie Grills over the bottom. In goes to Cross to Peter Gill, picks up Robbie Hanson, who hasn't stopped trying all day. Greg Taylor was the tackler as over top. Lance Wally round the bottom. Ross Keel comes up, picks up Tank Duncan. He takes play up. Blows it back to Cross, onto Peter Gilbert. He's going to kick it down, try and get it out of their own territory, and Peter Sherlock comes up with the ball.
Yes, Peter Sherlock picks it up from the wing. It just runs steadily up, then tries to clap the pace on, but he's tackled by Giovanni, the winger for Brothers. Up and plays the ball. He could be hurt in that tackle. We notice Dan Tanner still staggering from that last run down the sideline, and looks as though he could have a hip injury. At the moment, it's Guy Rugger plays the ball back to Stewie Grills, on to Taylor. Taylor on to Lance Wally, who steps around one and just about breaks the line, but he gets up and plays the ball on the halfway line. Stewie Grills on to Mick Mansfield, David Booth.
Natives have no hesitation, Paul, in spinning this ball.
Here comes Stewie Grills, stay up the centre. Paddy, they're not getting back deep enough.
No, but they're making ground. See, switch a play again.
Anyway, here comes Mick Mansfield. He's going to throw a wide one out. Danny Tenner couldn't run on the ball. I think he could be carrying injury at this stage of the game. And that...
Fifth and last.
Fifth and last tackle. What can we see from natives here? They fling the ball back to John Booth. John Booth is going to be caught. He got away from the tackle and puts up a high kick. Straight down to Johnny Gilbert.
To collect it. He doesn't get away from Tony Darby or Greg Taylor, who hasn't stopped trying all day.
Natives have got the points on the ball. All they've got to do is try and slow the game down.
That's what John's trying to do. But anyway, Peter Hamilton comes up. He goes in and tries and takes a bit of workload off their forward. Peter Cross goes into dummy half out to Stephen Gill, to Ray Duncan, plays to Chris Hamilton, who just slips, and Tony Darby on the top. Ray Duncan goes in. He gets a ball away to Drinkwater. Robbie Hanson in the dummy half. Brothers are in 6s and 7s at the moment. Plays it back to Gilbert, but he's going to use the boot. It's very obvious what Pete's going to do all day. That's not a bad kick either. But Peter Sherlock's just going to let it run dead, and that'll be a 22 tap.
Hey, that was a pretty good kick. It only went over that dead ball line by about 2 foot, so you can easily see Brothers' tactics. And
Yeah, Paul,
60 centimetres it was. Just a bloke up there measured that kick for us, and we've got blokes all around the field relaying these things back to us. Anyway,
But
Natives
Paul,
come
that's the
away.
idea. Peter Gilbert's going to put the kick down and try, and if Natives make mistakes.
Anyway, Natives
Tap
come
line.
away with the ball. That's Lance Wally. He's had done some good rucking, and he gets the ball away. Unfortunately, Stewie
that
Grills has lost it, and
knocked
it's a
back to
regained
6.
ball by Natives, and the tackle count restarts again. Stewie Grills moves on out to David Booth, on to John Booth. Vic Lemieux trying to come in on the line, just can't link up there. John Booth says, I'll play it safe, and takes the tackle. Up and plays the ball to Tommy McIntyre. He runs away and gets away from a couple, but he's eventually put down there by Stephen Gill. Dan Tanner in the dummy half.
Just while we're talking, Brothers won the premiership last year, and Natives have not won a premiership since 1980, so I think they'll be talking to John Booth on Saturday. He's really keen to make amends.
That should be enough to spur him on to try and...
Oh, yeah.
Paddy, that
Yeah.
should be enough to try and steer him on for a victory celebration here tonight.
But then
at the
again,
moment,
anything's possible, and that was Dave Booth.
a little bit of anxious play, I think, starting to sneak in the Natives. They're trying to get over for another try, I think, and I think that they just settle down. It'll come, but you know, they've...
Peter Gilbert's pretty good kick there. He's really taken play up. He's got a good boot on him, that fella. Right, just a couple of metres over the 22. Penalties, Brothers 4, Natives 3. Tank's gonna, this is where they've got to watch Tank, right close to the line. He barges his way across.
That was a good run there from Tank Duncan then, Paddy.
Certainly was, Paul. Out to cross in the dummy half. They got the switch, and Barry Danzy, they've got to watch this bloke, and he throws the ball, and Natives come up with the ball.
Yeah, that's Peter Dixon's who come away with it there, and it was, you know, it was on then, the try. They tried it. Brothers have got to throw everything into this attack now to try and square the score line. Anyway, Stewie Grills comes away from dummy half, and there's been an infringement in the 5 metre there. I think that it could have been Tank Duncan, wasn't back his 5 metres. So the penalty's now 4-all. Dan Tanner coming across to try and kick for the line. And John Booth just quieting his side down. And there's a fire in the box here. We're going to have to put out soon. I don't know if the fire brigade or what's going to happen. But anyway, back to the
minutes
football.
to go. It's 14-9. Anything can happen if Brothers score. That'll take it to 15-14. So grand final 87 isn't over at any stage.
Peter Sherlock takes the ball up.
Yes, mate.
That is Peter Sherlock, I've been informed. Here comes Tommy McIntyre charging onto the ball. He says, we want the premiership. David Booth in the dummy half. He gets up and plays the ball. Back to Mick Mansfield. John Booth switches back down the blind to Danny Tanner. In loads the ball to no one, and John Booth has to pick up the crumb. He's tackled right on the halfway line. No purpose in Natives' attack at the moment. Here comes the Pieman. He's going to settle her up. That's what they need. Just settle down. Let's get settled in position, says John Booth. That David Booth is a good hard
running there by David Booth.
Yes, that going to good 10 metres now. Stewie Grills, director and play, moves it back to John Booth, who tries to pick up Dan Tanner. No.
That's a changeover. John Booth went to draw his men and get that away, but
I think
Leroy Mansky, and I can't pick up whoever is down. He's really injured.
Is down
I
with
think
that.
Shanks Hansen
is down with that crook hip again. I think you could see him replaced at this stage of the game.
Tank plays it back to Peter Cross, on to Peter Gill, on to Ross Keel, who's got a bit of blood streaming from his right eye. He gets up and plays it back to Peter Cross, plays it on to John Gilbert coming in from the fullback to, he gets away from one, picks up Peter Cross, he ends up picks up Ross Keel, who then picks up Chris Hamilton. He gets, met in a strong tackle there by Lance Wally,
yes,
who holded that progress. On to Stephen Gill, plays it about John Gilbert, he's going to, Peter Gilbert, sorry, heave a little chip, David Booth's in a chase, it's going to be a chase, Peter Gilbert's going to knock that on, and Peter Sherlock comes up with the ball, gets away from one, but finally met in a tackle there by...
Paddy Brothers showing a lot of determination now. They know they've got to get points on the board, and they're putting plenty of pressure on.
Paul,
Natives are stuck down in that their 22-metre mark, and they can't seem to get out of their own half.
That was good work there by Peter Gilbert.
We see a penalty there, two natives, and Vic Lemira just takes a tap. I think they should have tried to kick the ball out and made some valuable ground. Stewie Grills, a dummy half, onto Greg Taylor. Tommy McIntyre's hitting a good hard tackle there by Tank Duncan.
Yes, good
Perhaps
tackle there by
Tank can smell victory at this stage, Paddy, you think? He's starting to do a bit of work.
Oh,
there's a bad pass there. Natives are just...
Oh, that... A brother's fellow, I can't pick it up, who end up coming up with that
Chris
ball.
Hamilton, Paddy.
Chris Hamilton.
Peter Gilbert, sorry.
Sorry, Peter. Oh, Paul, Peter Gilbert. He plays the Drinkwater. Drinkwater's going to just ruck it in and settle play down a bit for Brothers at this stage of the game. Brothers are on attack. 26 minutes to go with 14-9. Peter Cross goes from dummy half. Met in a driving tackle there by... Michael Mansfield. It goes back to Peter Cross, the Tank. This is where he's dangerous. They won't let him through. Lance Wally that was, and can't pick him up. Plays it back to Peter Gill. He's going to go with, sorry, Stephen Gill's dropped it.
He's dropped the ball right where the pressure was on, so Natives have got another retrieve. And that's Stewie Grills comes away with the ball from dummy half there.
Paul, that's where Brothers could have applied pressure to Natives at that stage.
They should have thrown the ball out. That's where the strength is, out wide, not up the guts there. And that's the Pyman takes the ball away. He plays the ball. That's Greg Taylor, makes a good run from the...
he gets away!
He's gone up. He's going to just about up to the halfway line. That's going to really
Very
get the
good
pressure
run
off
there by
for
Greg
Natives.
Taylor, Paul.
That's the first time we've seen the play back down in the Brothers territory for quite some time.
They'll thin out wide.
Tom McIntyre to Mick Mansfield. Vic Lemira's caught in a good tackle
by Giovanoni.
Giovanoni, he's come from that far wing. Trying to steer his play up. John Booth comes in, tries to settle play. He unloads the ball to brother David. David's going to take the ball, and he unloads the ball. Vic Lemira puts the boot down. Straight in the hands
of John Gilbert. He's going to, he's get away from one, but he will not get away from Peter Sherlock. Plays it back to Chris Hamilton, who's going to come in and do a bit of work. John Booth has tackled him to Peter Hamilton. Peter Hamilton spotted the gap, gets away from one. Peter Sherlock, good copybook tackle right around the legs to Chris Hamilton in the dummy half to Steve Gill. Steve's going to put the boot up, which he does. He see no one at home. That's a good kick by Stephen Gill.
Yes, Paddy, I think that's a good kick, even though they come out to the 22-metre mark. But it puts the play back in Natives territory, and this is what Brothers need. They've got to keep the pressure on Natives, and Natives are starting to crack a little bit under this pressure. You see Brothers put a six-pointer on the board. That puts Natives Brothers back in front. So Natives must realise this. The 24 minutes to go in this second half of the grand final, and Stewie Grills to take the tap.
Not over yet, Paul.
Plays. Tommy McIntyre takes the ball up. He's run strongly when he has. Haven't seen a great deal of him today. Here comes the fireman, runs on the ball, and running towards that touch line. Up and plays the ball. Plays it through Mansfield, back to Taylor. Johnny Booth picked up Dan Tanner. Here he comes on the ball hard. Just can't seem to break that first line of defence.
It's Barry Danzy there, Paul, again tackling.
Danzy's having a big game today here in the second row. That was Excavation Park's that one. And Brothers
end up coming through Leroy Mansky. He gets up and tries to... take a little scoot, but John Booth stops his progress, plays it on to Drinkwater, who's coming in from a wing. He pushes away his own player.
Paddy, that happened in the reserve grade game, and John Orpin penalised the players for that. So you just see how it differs in two...
Ross Keel pulled up a bit and out to Drinkwater. He's going to spin it wide to Gilbert. Gilbert on to Hamilton. Peter Hamilton was just arrived too late, but Chris decided to do a dummy and go himself. Peter Cross goes into dummy half, throw on to Stephen Gill to Peter Gilbert. He puts a little chip there, and Guy O'Roga's come up with a ball.
Yes, he's played a very safe game today, this Guy O'Roga, and I think every kick he's gathered in and just rucked the ball out. There's been plenty of pressure on.
Knocked back, so says referee
that
Alexander.
was very close to a knock on there. We'd like to pick that one up in the replay, Paddy. And here comes Stewie Grills, takes the ball out, puts the head down. And we can't pick it up in replay because John Armstrong refuses to play a replay. Anyway, David Booth takes the ball up and plays the ball back to Dan Tanner on to Mick Mansfield, who picks up
John Booth in the gap. Look at that.
The ball to
Tony Darby.
Tony Darby's going to outspin John Gilbert. And Tony Darby's going to cost him.
That's going to be... as he drops it, that's a try.
It's a try to Tony Darby.
That's a try to Natives.
And what do you say? I think that's the ball game, Paddy. 22 minutes to go in the 1987 Rugby League Grand Final. Natives are leading 18 points to 9.
Here goes their
and I think that might break the backbone of the bloody Brothers Rugby League team because they've been hitting at Natives try line for about the last 10 or 15 minutes and they couldn't crack it. And that try is just going to give Natives the urgency they need to
What
spur
can you
them
say
on.
about John Booth? He's taken them this far. He honestly, from the games we've done up here, he really has got his side going.
Yes.
He drew his man, gave an excellent pass to Tony Darby. Tony Darby's had the speed, got around John Gilbert, and right in the corner. That was a good try by Natives.
Yes, he's John Booth, master of 5/8 and captain coaches at the moment in Bundaberg. Young player come through the grades, played against him, and I tell you what, you've got to take your hat off to the lad. Natives are down and out over there as far as the clubhouse goes, and they've got a lot of knockers, but this guy's stuck by him. He's done the right thing, and they've got together, and I tell you what, it looks like they might come out winners today.
Paul, Natives 18 points to 9. It's 21 minutes to go. Still, it's no one's game. Anything can happen here. I say John Booth had just had his team in a huddle. He will settle down play at this stage of the game. Michael Mansfield at this stage going for the kick. It's a shocker. 18 points to 9. Well, I wouldn't say, Paul, with, as you said, if Brothers do get over, it will, and convert it, it'll make them 18 points to 15, 21 minutes to go. Anything can still happen.
Yes, I think, but that's what Natives needed. They were down and out for that first 20 minutes of this second half. But, you know, you can't take it away from Brothers. They come back last week. They got 20 minutes to do
That's
it.
what I mean, Paul. It's only 9 points of difference. They come back from 12 and took it away from Wanderers last week.
The thing is, they're not playing Wanderers this week. They're playing Natives.
Oh, that was a very good kick.
Things like that, you know, puts the pressure right back on Natives.
Certainly does.
Scoreline at the moment, 18 points to 9. And you can hear the crowd here chanting, really get involved with this game.
Michael Mansfield feeds that. Natives come up with it. He spotted a gap. Gets it away to Guy Arolga.
Guy Arolga up there from the fullback. I tell you what, he's having a great game this afternoon, this big fullback.
He's had a mighty game.
And here comes Lance Wally, unloads the ball to Tommy McIntyre.
To Tony Darby again.
Tony Darby looked a little bit forward, but it's got a referee's call play on. Tony Darby up over the 22-metre mark. He's going to get up and play the ball.
John Booth has got his troops deep.
Back to Lick Lemire after John Booth. On to Greg Taylor, wrap around Johnny Booth, who picks up the foul, and he's tackled just on the 22-metre. Plays it back to Grills. Stewie Grills takes off from dummy half. He just about breaks that first line of defence.
Stewie Grills.
We've got about 10 metres out from the Brothers try line. John Booth, he comes in looking.
And John Booth is over for a try!
John Booth is in for a try!
That's the game, that's it! Paul Natives at this stage of the game I would say have won the 1987 Grand Final.
That's the 1987 Grand Final. You can forget about it now,
yes,
because I think Natives have got it. Unfortunately, we've seen a big contingent out here from Brothers today to see this game. I think Natives might have wrapped it up with a try. 19 minutes to go, Paddy. 22 points to 9.
At 18 minutes, Paul, actually, as we talk, I can see John Ray going down to the newsagent to buy my casket ticket. It'll probably be on my desk on Monday at this stage. At 22 points to 9, Paul, I can't see Brothers coming back from here.
Unfortunately, Paddy, I packed back Brothers. I had start. I thought the game would be close. But the start I got wasn't enough. I always thought Natives would be there, but the start I got. So I'll be heading down to the casket agency tomorrow or the next day to buy a bloody $10 casket ticket. So anyway, it's been a good day. 18 minutes to go, but you never know. It's not over yet. Another try could see Brothers come back in it. Statistics here from Tony Bull. Yeah, scrums at the moment. Penalties at the moment favour Natives 5-4. Scrums are favouring Natives 5-3. So at the moment you can see Natives have had that little bit of extra ball in the second half. 18 minutes to go in the grand final. Peter Sherlock to come up and make it 24 points to 9.
The clock we held it just as we was talking. The ball was blown over there by the wind. We're running very late today, Paul. 5:05. We won't finish today's game till about 5:30. It's
Yes,
been a
this
great
is a,
day out here at Solder Oval.
Tactical move by Phil Pebberty, the BRL. He likes to keep them all out of drinking. You know, $1.80 a can. I tell you what, he's rubbing his hands
as
together
we
up
spoke,
there.
Michael Mansfield has converted. But that takes Natives to 24 points to 9. 11 minutes to go.
17 minutes to go, Paddy. Did you notice how keen Peter Hannell was to get back up and get this kick off? And here comes the kick. Peter Cameron puts it down. It's a curly one, bounces up, and the extra try scorer, John Booth, runs it up. And he's not going to do anything silly. He's just going to take the tackle. I think Natives will try and wrap this game up from here on in. Plays the ball back to Dan Tanner, on to Vic Lemire. Throws the ball out to Greg Taylor, picks up the palm, and he's knocked the ball on.
He knocked it on.
I think they've got to try and wrap the game up, Paddy. 17 minutes to go. You can score 2 or 3 tries in that amount of time. So
things, you know,
it's not over, but I tell you what, it's looking to go Natives' way at the moment.
Well, Paul, you'd have to say that at 24 points to 9 with 17 minutes to go, but that's the Natives win.
Natives to feed the scrum. No, sorry, Brothers to feed the scrum. Over to you, Paddy.
Well, Peter Gill. Sorry, I keep calling him Peter Gilbert. It's Stephen Gill. I should know that. Steve Gill comes up with a ball. Brothers have made a replacement. I think that's Jamie Mansky. Sorry, yes, it is. He has dropped the ball in the first tackle, but I tell you, he's keen, Paul. Jamie Emmerich.
It's Jamie Emmerich wearing number 15 jersey there.
Yes, he's replaced Leroy Mansky. Lance Wally, in one of his typical charging runs, he takes play onto the quarter line into Natives territory. I think John Booth is just going to settle his troops down. No fancy stuff. But
hey, this bloke here's had a big game today, Tony Darby.
Certainly has. Paul, that's going to be a penalty to Natives. You couldn't fault any of the players from Brothers or Natives. They have put on a great spectacle here for the big crowd that turned up today.
Been a good day for rugby league, and
as a whole
is going to be the winner again. And we'd just like to see more people out here next year, because
Paul, that's what it is. It's, you know, and I think this is the biggest crowd I've seen out here at Solder Oval for a long, long time, and it's really good to see. But as you said, you just wish they would turn up every weekend.
Anyway, back to the football. Dan Tannock puts the ball out. Natives restart play through the winger. That's Sherlock, the winger. Stewie Grills in the dummy half. Moves the ball into Taylor. Taylor has no one to pick up, so he's got to run it and cover it up himself. Takes the tackle just short of the 22-metre mark. Plays the ball back to Grills. Grills on to Lemansky. Onto Booth, who picks up Guy O'Rourke, the fullback, who moves the ball back to Johnny Booth. He plays the ball just short of the 22-metre mark. And plays the ball back to Lance Wally.
Paul, it'd be very hard to pick best and fairest out here today for Natives.
That's for sure.
You go to so many of them.
Here comes the fireman. The fireman takes the ball up. Plays the ball to Taylor, to Johnny Booth. And Dan Tanner coming up the ball hard.
Look at this.
Picks up.
Big Dave Booth. He's over for a try.
David Booth in for a try.
The grand final, the premiership for 1980. No, he hasn't, sorry. Referee Alexander has brought it up for some reason.
It's been cited a forward pass.
Forward pass.
Unfortunately, it's a forward pass, so...
That, Paul, actually,
back.
It was last year. Or in 1985, I can't remember, Dave Booth scored a try, which they disallowed, and probably memories went flooding back to him at that stage of the game. Peter Gilbert, he gains a few metres in that kick. 13 minutes to go. I can't honestly see them coming back from here, but anything is possible. He's just going to elect to kick it deep down. Barry Danzy is just chasing like a man possessed. Guy O'Rourke comes up with the ball. Guy O'Rourke, he met into a good tackle there by Peter Gilbert. Paul, you've got to give Peter Gilbert credit.
He's had a big game today.
He certainly has. And last year, Paul, he lost quite a number of players who went to Brisbane clubs from the side. They did play in the premiership last year. He's brought the club up to a grand final So you've got to congratulate him. He's he really is a top player. He's a good organiser.
Yes, at the moment there we see Barry Danzy infringing on the opposing player. We won't say what he done to him.
Yes,
because,
I didn't pick that up either, Paul, but
we could have to be screwing later on. Anyway, Dan Tanner finds touch.
As we talk on Peter Gilbert, Paul, we've equally just as much got to speak on John Booth, because he's the backbone behind Naders. Always, the Booths always have been, and I don't think you'd find any man prouder today than
Here comes the
John
Pyman. You see just a good run down the touchline there from Peter Dickinson. Greg Taylor owned the ball
Look
across
at
to
this
Dan
man
Tanner,
go.
who's going to try and split him up
Look
down
at
the
him.
sideline and gets away.
Oh,
That's a
Just
great
good
run
cover
there from
tackle
Dan
there,
Tanner, who just couldn't unload inside there. Paddy, I think natives are really enjoying this game out there now. They're going to, try and entertain the crowd, I think, and try and put on a couple of more tries. They could close it up.
that's
But they've,
Stephen Gill comes up with that ball. Peter Gilbert, as we've seen before, he'll probably elect to kick it down. Giovanoni comes on for comes in from the wing for a run. He's had a big year, Danny Giovanoni, to Tank Duncan. Tank Duncan's running very strong. He gets a good ball away. To Emmerich, plays it back to Peter Cross to Peter Gilbert. But there was no runners there. Giovanoni comes up with the ball. Stephen Gill to Tank Duncan. Tank onto Jamie Emmerich, loses the ball. They're probably just trying too hard at this stage, Paul.
yes, it's. I think it's a forgotten task at the moment. 11 minutes to go. 24 points to 9 the scoreline, so I can't see.
That's
I can't
a
see it coming
Naders
back at this
speed
stage.
and the Naders win.
That's Greg Taylor and a wrap around there with.
Lucky not to be a shepherd there, Paul.
Yes, wrap around there with John Booth. He's up and plays the ball. John Booth, the dummy half. So Lance Wally bumps a couple off, tries to unload, but he's going to take the tackle. Gets up and plays the ball back to Stewie Grills, who runs away from dummy half there. He's tackled there by Leroy Mansky right around the legs. On to Mick Mansfield, on to John Booth.
There
Here
goes the
comes
big
Dan
Dan
Tanner.
Tanner.
Comes on to the burst there, but he's tackled there by Robbie Hanson and Chris Hamilton. Here comes Vic Lemure in from the wing. Gets away from a couple, dances and weaves.
Paul, Vic was actually a former Brothers player as well.
Yes,
So-
I think Natives can smell another try coming up here, Paddy. That one's right down the
Drinkwater
throat.
puts it down. Hamilton comes up with the ball. 10 minutes to go, 24 points to 9. I think she's all wrapped up. That is a penalty going to Brothers. Apparently, referee Alexandra Greg Taylor did interfere there, but from up here we couldn't, we couldn't say that. Oh, look at that. That's all right, eh?
That's a fairly good kick there from Peter Gilbert. Finds touch about 35 metres out from the try line.
To Stephen Gill, throws a long ball out to Chris Hamilton, picks up Ross Keel. This bloke has not stopped trying today. He played extremely well last week against Wanderers, and he's a guts man, this fella. Peter Hamilton elect to try and take the kick, gets away from Waldo, which is very, that's one of the rare ones Waldo has missed, but geez, he's put some big hits in today. Plays it back to Giovanoni, on to Stephen Gill, to Ray Tank Duncan. He finally, that's a drop ball. Geez, he can get that ball away to John Gilbert. Gilbert's going, but he runs into big David Booth. He finally does get the ball away to Jamie Emmerich. He's on the boil. He's met in a tackle there by Lance Wally and Guy Haralga. Plays it back to Peter Gilbert, to Stephen Gill, to Ross Keel, to Barry Danzy. Throws it, is going to be a knock on. The ball went astray.
Knock on there.
8 minutes to go.
Paddy, 8 minutes to go. Brothers trying to throw everything in they have into this last 8 minutes.
Yep.
Scoreline of 24 points to 9. I can't see Brothers at this stage coming away as the winners, but you've got to give it to them. They haven't stopped trying.
No, Paul.
They're still
not
in
at
there
all.
and they're throwing everything into it, so it's
And
good to see.
you've got to give credit when credit's due, and have to go to Naders today. Well, both sides, they put on a top performance. It has been a good exhibition from cameraman John Armstrong. Drinkwater comes up with the ball. He hasn't stopped trying today, this fellow either. Plays it back to Hamilton onto Ross Keel. Keel gets met in a good tackle there by John Booth. Plays it back to Peter Cross onto Shanks Hansen, been quiet in this half, to Barry Danzy. Barry Danzy will get up and play it finally back to Peter Cross onto Peter Gilbert. Peter Gilbert's put the chip through. There could be, no, it looked as though there could have been a try, but the ball went dead. That'll be a 22 metre tap.
Yes, brother's still throwing everything into it, and Peter Gilbert trying everything he can for everything he knows. That little chip over the top. Stewie Gill's here to restart play. Takes the tap, picks up Tommy McIntyre, charges straight into him.
Yeah.
Plays the ball back. Oh, knock on there. Knocks on by Stewie Grills there.
Nah, we said up on 4. Scrum's going to be packed down. Stephen Gill feeds it. Oh, well, I didn't know. That's a Nader's win. No, it's a Brothers penalty.
Yes, a Brothers win there. 7 minutes to go, Paddy.
Gary, yes, it goes through John Gilbert. John Gilbert slips, gets it to Peter Gilbert, picks up Peter Hamilton out wide. Peter looks, he's going to take a bit of a chip himself. Michael Mansfield's in cover, but Peter Sherlock comes up with a ball.
Yes, they're covering up all these little chip kicks now, Natives. And
to Mike Mansfield, to big Dan Tanner.
He's wrapped up there, and a good tackle there by Giovanni, the winger there from Brothers. Up and plays the ball. Back through to David Booth. He's going to take another ruck up. 6 minutes to go in this 1987 Bundaberg Rugby League Grand Final.
Paul, as we even talk, none of the people are going at this stage.
Oh, no, I think they're going to sit here and enjoy this, the moments of joy here for Natives. A lot of Native supporters here today. John Booth plays the ball back to Stewie Grills. Tommy McIntyre takes it up the centre of the ruck. And you can see now...
A few statistics. The penalties go 7-all. The scrums going... Brothers have picked up a few scrums in the second half. 7-all. And as we talk, John Gilbert comes up with the ball, and Michael Mansfield just said, "You're not going anywhere, you're stopping there." I don't know whether he's giving him a congratulatory kiss or what there, Paul, but
yes.
Play begins with Chris Hamilton.
That looked a little bit sus there back there. I don't know what was
they
going on
might be
there.
fond of each other. Chris Hamilton plays it back to Peter Cross, out to Peter Gilbert onto Ross Keel, picks up for Jamie Emmerich on the inside, but he's lost the ball again. That's the third time he's rucked it up. Admittedly, he does run strong, but the third time he lost it as well.
Yes, and 5 minutes to go in the grand final. Natives are leading 24 points to 9. The scrum packs down. Mick Mansfield to feed the ball in.
That's Stephen Gill comes up with that ball. It's the brothers' ball. And they all fall on top of him. He plays it back to Tank. Tank's going to... He has played well today. Tank, Paul. To Peter Gilbert. Switches to John Gilbert, brother. On the inside with Peter Hamilton. As we speak, Paul, there's quite a few brothers playing out there. There's the Booths, there's the Hamiltons, and there's the Gilberts. To Chris Hamilton, he gets away from one, picks up Shanks Hansen. He's going to go for himself. He tried to look on the inside, but there was no runners there. He gets up and plays it back to Peter Cross. To Peter Gilbert, throws it wide to Peter Hamilton. He's got nowhere to move. He does get the ball away, and that goes into Michael Sherlock's hand to Dan Tanner. Dan Tanner's got great room to move. I don't think Ross Keel can get it. Dan Tanner's going to put the ball on the battery. What a game by this guy. That's the ball game
for Danny Tanner. 4 minutes to go. That's number 3 for the day for Dan Tanner.
He's got a hat-trick.
He's wrapped up the series,
Danny Tanner.
He's wrapped up the grand final for Natives.
He has had a great game today, Paul.
We said earlier in the day, Paddy, that Dan Tanner was very quiet in the first 20 minutes. But I tell you what, in the last 60 minutes of this grand final, he has put so much into this game and changed the tune of this game.
Paul, it's a game that Big Danny will remember. He switched from West last year, and he'll probably think at the moment that's probably the best move he's done. That was that was from a kick by Peter Hamilton that went wrong, similar to the try he scored by Barry Danzy. Barry Danzy tried to put a kick up, and that was foul play. It fouled up, sorry. At this stage, Paul, at 28-9.
At
3
the
minutes
moment,
to
Paddy,
go.
a bit of a controversy here over the Brothers players not returning behind the try line, but I think
Paul,
you find in the
at
rule
this
book,
stage, mate, it's all over bar the shouting.
yeah, but in the rule book, Paddy, they can come onto the sideline, so it doesn't make much difference
No,
in the
Paul,
stage of the game. 3 minutes to go in the 1987 Rugby League Grand Final. Natives are leading 28 points to 9 with the kick to come. Mick Mansfield lining her up and just about to come in.
Michael Mansfield, 3 minutes to go, 28 minutes to 9. You should see this, 28 points to 9. Michael Mansfield comes in for the kick. That's not a bad kick. And that's over.
Yes, what a
Another
great...
player who's had quite a good game, Michael Mansfield. There's a smile on David Booth and John Booth's face as wide as the Grand Canyon.
Paddy, that's 5 out of 7 for Mick Mansfield, so that's quite a good effort for the day. And I tell you what, a lot of them have been out wide. The
Yes,
Natives are leading 30 points to 9, and I tell you what, that's a very convincing win in a
Actually,
grand
he
final.
was the Paul Wanderers player, Paul.
Yes, I tell you what, but it has still been a fairly good game. It's been up until the last 20, 25 minutes that Natives have only dominated the last 20 to 25 minutes.
Yes,
Here we
they-
see the restart of play, and that's the Pyman Peter Dickinson takes it up with a good hard
Paul,
straight run.
30 points to 9. It doesn't really indicate the game as a whole because it's been top football.
Yes, it has been top football. They've thrown the ball around. They've played it in true spirits. And you can see here now where Natives are lined very deep. And Dan Tanner flings a long one out there to Tony Darby. Picks up Dan Tanner in again. And Vic Lemire, unfortunately, knocks on there. And Brothers get on the ball. And that is it.
Well,
The
they were
full-time
probably
hooligans
2
gone.
minutes early, but Natives have won the 1987 Grand Final. The first time since, sorry, not the first time, but since 1980 they haven't won it. They've had a good season all year. They were probably Paul, the deserved winners of the trophy. They convincingly beat Wanderers to go straight into the grand final, and have finally, they've won the 1987 grand final.
One interesting factor, they didn't use any reserves in the game. Natives, they played with the first 13 that run on the game. They didn't use any reserves. So the 13 players have stuck to their task, and they've come through and they've won the 1987 premiership.
Yes, Paul, you, as I said, it would be very hard to pick a best player today. I'm not going to actually say all of them played, both for Brothers and Natives. Who's one man? I know Lance Wally, Guy Aralga. Well, yeah, Guy Aralga.
Guy Aralga, I think, at fullback, but I think
Greg
you can't
Taylor.
take it away from Danny Tanner or Johnny Booth. They're just cheering him off the field now. Danny Tanner, Johnny Booth, and
At the
Guy
moment,
Aralga.
Paul,
all
they're
up to
just
the-
cheering off John Booth. I was speaking to him yesterday, and he said he doesn't know whether he'll coach next year, and this is probably one of his proudest moments, being chaired by Stewie Grills. Put your head down, Stewie. And a very, very elated captain coach. The Natives camp as a whole, very elated. So Brothers did win one premiership. As you can moment, the supporters for Natives, the Booth girls, they you can see them coming over as a whole. They have been waiting for this all year, and
Yes, it's
very, very excited.
Very jubilant Booth family down there at the moment.
I'd say there might be a few drinks there tonight, Paul.
Yes, I'd say they'd have 1 or 3. But you can see all the Booth girls around the winning team there at the moment.
Yes, well, Natives will engrave their name on the 1987 Grand Final trophy.
Yes, and as a lot of cheering and carrying on downstairs here, and
Well, Paul, they're the undisputed champions, winning by that margin. They were the outright winners. There was nothing.
Statistics for the match: Dan Tanner 3 tries, Tony Darby 1, and John Booth 1. Mick Mansfield kicked 5 out of 7 for the match. Looking at the brothers' scoreline, we had Chris Hamilton a try, and Barry Danzy 2 goals, and a field goal by one of the Gilbert boys. So, just as the curtain comes down on the 1987 Grand Final, we'd like to see you and all your spectator friends out here for 1988 to make rugby league one of the greatest games of all, as we all know it. Thank you, Paddy Gerard. If we can just pick up our co-commentator here, Paddy Gerard, be very jubilant. But we'll just try and pick up the Natives theme song before we go.
Well, Paul, that's the